All right, we are on. Hi, everybody. My name is Dr. Deji. This is my first real YouTube video. This is going to be a revamp of my channel. I really want to focus on talking about my career, talking about being a doctor, and combining Christianity with it. And we'll talk about that in the future videos. But this first video will be dedicated about my time as a military physician. Do I recommend it? Which I do recommend it to everybody. I think it's awesome. And just to talk about the HPSP program. Shouts out to my brother Mile or Copper Mile. You can follow him if you look him up. He does a lot of great content, and he's been telling me to share my life on YouTube. And shout out to my wife, who has also been encouraging me to get on YouTube as well. So I hope you guys will find this video educational, and let's jump right in. So I will do here, and we'll go in. Okay, everybody. So this is the Air Force Physician's Blueprint from HPSP to Medical Leader. Is unclassified, basically. Shouts out to Notebook LM. That is the Google Notebook system. It's a AI agent, and it's very awesome. Check it out. Just look up Google Notebook and just play with it. I was recommended by a friend, and it created this PowerPoint. I did edit it a little bit, but it is an amazing thing that we have, and AI is taking over the world. So you got to join the train. I am praying that the AI doesn't take over the world. Shout out to the Terminator, or that the people affected by the water issues. It's not a health-wide disaster, but as of right now, it's an amazing tool. So I used it to create this PowerPoint. So a little bit about me. This is not the perfect depiction. The arrows are wrong. But my name is Dr. Ayodeji Lakatu, or Dr. Deji. I'm a family medicine doctor, currently major with 7 years of service. This is my final year, and I am separating, but I am trying to go into reserves. So I did my first thing was I did medical school at Morehouse School of Medicine, then in Atlanta, Georgia. Then I moved to Travis Air Force Base for my residency program, and this is just a cool thing I did. There was a wildfire, and I safely assisted with the evacuation. Then after my residency training, I moved as an urgent care doc across the ocean to Japan, where I was there for 3 years. I served as an urgent care provider with the Yokota Air Force Base. And then I spent my last year, which is right now, at MacDill Air Force Base as a med director and family medicine doc, where I oversee other providers such as PAs or NPs, and I also assist with actually taking care of patients here. So I've enjoyed my time in the Air Force, and I wanted to create this video to help anyone who's considering joining the military for medicine. So let's talk about it. So the biggest thing is money, right? On the bottom of the screen, you see that most medical graduates carry debt, and the median debt is $200,000 in America right now, with up to $70,000 per year, depending on what school you go to. So it can go all the way up to like 400,000, or 7 times 4 is 280. So 280,000, 300,000 plus interest. But with the HPSP path, you don't go into debt. They pay for everything. They pay for all schools and all fees, and you make money while you're in school, and as well as in residency, which we'll talk about later. So the HPSP transforms medical school from a financial burden into a salaried, merit-based career launchpad. So how does it do it? It pays for all tuition and fees, so it covers all of any program in the United States. I guess Puerto Rico too. I did not know that. The way the AI works, that it takes information from other places. I didn't review some of it because some of it was inaccurate, but it does pay for all tuition and fees. For me, it paid for all my tuition for 3 years. I did pay for the first year myself. You can get a sign-on bonus, which is $20,000. I think it's tax-free too, so you get all that money. I think you do. I don't think you have to file it. I'm not sure. Monthly living stipend. So depending on where you live, not where you live, but depending on, like when I was there, it was like $2,100, but that was like 7 years ago. So it's about $3,000 a month, and that is taxed, unfortunately. And then for every year scholarship, you get a 45-day active duty tour, which Usually, so if you do 3 years, you get 4 tours, and if you do if you do 4 years, you get 4 tours, and if you do 3 years, you do 3 tours. So what is an active duty tour? It basically means that you get to go to like a military hospital where you get to serve as a med student, and they pay you because you're on active status. So they pay you as a lieutenant, which is a lot more than $3,000 a month. So it's a nice little pay bump. So you get paid to just go volunteer at a hospital and kind of get experience. The same thing you would normally do in your third or fourth year where you rotate, except that you rotate at a military facility and you get to get paid as a second lieutenant. Your first time you're doing it is going to be for officer training school, which we'll talk about. And then the other times you're going to be doing it is during your rotations. Or if you do AMP, which is in Air Force, it's the Aero Medical Program. So that's to like get like flight medicine information. So the total value is around 37,000 on top of your tuition. So not bad, right? You get paid to go to school. So the timeline is basically applying to medical school. If you don't know, it takes about a year. So most of the time between May and August, you graduate from school and you start your application process. By September and November, you submit your application and start doing interviews, and then usually get into medical school anywhere between the early to late spring. I didn't get in until early summer, but God is good. And then you eventually commission. So for me, I started my MEPS the same time I started medical school. I got into medical school, Mott School of Medicine in June, and then in like May, I was on a wait list, and then because I got accepted so late, my scholarship didn't start until a year later, so I didn't commission in May, July. I commissioned in December. Um, so the baseline requirements is basically you got to get into medical school, right? If you don't get into medical school, the scholarship is useless. So if you can't get in medical school, you definitely can't get into scholarship. So it's a lot harder to get into medical school than the scholarship. So you basically get the scholarship. The only reason you don't is if your family might have some ties to foreign governments or you're just medically unfit for the military. So how does it work? For every year they pay for school, you owe them an active duty year. At minimum is 3 years, and 4 years if you're accepting sign-on bonus. That means that if they only pay for it's like for example, if they pay for 2 years, you gotta do 2 years. So if you do it late, most of the time people tend to do it, uh, before they get into medical school. And then the payback begins after completion of your GME. So if you do a residency or fellowship, it does not count towards paying back. So time spent in the military residency or fellowship does not count towards paying back the service obligation. However, it does count for your military career because that whole time you were active duty. So if you did 3 years residency and immediately 2 years fellowship, you did 5 years total. By the time you get out of your training, you're like a major. Like you already promoted if you've been doing everything correctly with the Air Force or whatever branch you are. So it's kind of good. But you still got to pay back the time that they paid you for. So after you do 5 years of that, you might do 4 more years, and maybe you decide to do the full 20 years to get retirement. So as I mentioned, you get one active duty tour per year of scholarship. Your first active duty tour is generally going to OTS. OTS stands for Officer Training School. It used to be called Commissioned Officer Training, which I think they changed it a couple years ago. But it's basically like going to summer camp, except that it's like really a lot. It's like military. So I enjoyed it. I had a great time. I had a good team. And we just had fun. We did a lot of learning. We worked out a lot. I came back and a lot of my friends said, I look good. Like I worked out a lot. Yeah, I think it was pretty awesome. You learn how to march. You learn how to salute. You learn how to stand to attention and parade rest. You learn about the ranks. You learn about military culture. They yell at you, but you got doctors and lawyers usually. Well, in OTS now you kind of mix with the real military, the line officers. But yeah, it's really fun. I enjoyed it. I will say that my favorite part was probably you get to do this cool thing where you don't practice. I didn't do any practical wargaming, but you do a lot of team building activities, and you got to use your brain and your muscles to solve a problem, and that was really fun. and then just learning the military. The lectures were horrible though, and it was hot. So yeah, just drink water, don't faint, and be friendly because we're all suffering together. But I love it. And then the goal, I believe, was to create leaders of like high morals, which I really appreciated. But yeah, I had a great time. Highly recommend doing it. If you obviously you got to do it. And yeah, it used to be I think 6 weeks, so now it's 8.5 weeks. So it's kind of your whole summer. Usually after your first year of medical school, if you don't know, most people use it for research or some sort of summer internship. No one really does nothing for the summer. So for me, I did this. And you also have to be ready. You do a PT test within the third day of OTS, and if you don't pass it, they send you home. So you got to be ready to pass that PT test. And we'll talk about the PT test later. Right now. If you don't know, the Air Force PT test is the easiest one out of the branches. Army is a little bit harder, and Navy is a little bit, I think, the same as Army. Not sure, but Marines is the hardest. So for the PT test, it used to be a 1.5 mile run. Now it's a 2 mile run, and then we have a 20-meter hammer. I forgot what hammer stands for, but it's the beep test you did maybe in like elementary school or middle school. You run back and forth, and the beep gets faster. Uh, Then you can do a minute of push-ups or 2 minutes of hand release push-ups. That means that instead of doing this, you go down, out, in, push up, and you just can't rest on the ground too long. So that's a little bit easier, but I'm really good at push-ups when I'm trained. Right now, not really, but I need to get into shape. And then a minute of sit-ups, 2 minutes of reverse crunches, or a timed forearm plank, which is your core, and then body comp, making sure that your waist measurement is good. As General Willsback says, the habits Aim and build by working out daily directly impacts your quality of life. And I need to work out more, to be honest with you. But definitely, when I'm working out, I'm a lot stronger. I'm a lot less sick. All those things. So that's military. We talked about the application process. We talked about the we talked about the how it works to get to pay it back. We talked about officer training school and the Air Force fitness standards. Now let's talk about the match. So if you don't know, for medical school in your third year, or yeah, is your third year, fourth year? Yeah, fourth year. Sorry, in your fourth year, which is the beginning of the final year, you would be applying to multiple military residence, not military, medical residencies for the program of your choice. And then in February, March, I believe, I think it's March, they do the match where all the places they interviewed, you rank them between 1 to whatever, and then all the people in all the residencies rank their people that they interviewed from 1 to whatever, and then they try to match your your highest residency with the residency that had the highest number for you, and then you don't know where you go exactly, but you can, it's kind of a mystery, and then it's fun, I guess. I don't know that feeling. I was military. So let me talk about the military match. So this also begins around the same time. However, we get our decision in December, and there's no military match program. They just tell you that they accepted you. They all talk about it together, and then they choose. So I guess that is kind of like the civilian match, except that we do send in their rank, and then whatever, then they do it just less fancy than the civilian match. So it happens in December, so your friends are still like worrying about where they go. You know where you're going, so it's kind of nice. You can do something called a civilian deferment, and also a civilian sponsored. So basically, if you are doing like a surgeon or something, and there's only 2 places I think that do surgery, I think 3. I'm not a surgeon, so I don't know. And those spots are full. You can apply to a civilian spot, and then you can do something called civilian sponsored or civilian deferred. So civilian deferred means that you did not go on active duty. You'll go do your civilian residency as a normal civilian. They will pay you, and then once you're done, you go on active duty and join the military. Or you could do civilian sponsored, which I think they still do. You go to like for here it says compensation during residency. You get the full captain pay and benefits, but which is much higher than civilian. You are an active duty captain because you're a captain once you graduate medical school, and you're a full fledged doctor. But you don't go to a military residency, you go to a civilian residency. So you get paid as a captain, which is a lot more than civilians. And you get the benefits. Like if you have children, they get like TRICARE Prime, which is like free health insurance. So you get the benefits of being an active duty military, but you're getting training at a civilian residency. And if you don't know, civilian just means non military. But in my opinion, it's best to go to like obviously if you depending on where you live or if you have family, you don't want to move or all those things, that changes it. But I do recommend doing an active duty uh, residency because it's just military medicine is different than civilian medicine. It's just different ranks, different jobs, different everything. It's kind of like a super powered occupational medicine, if you know what that is. But I hope that explains things. I hope I wasn't too confused about it, but let me know in the comments. So I mentioned this earlier. You're a second lieutenant for the United States Air Force. You're a second lieutenant when you join the military, which is an O1. O meaning officer and 1. There's two types of ranks. There's the enlisted rank and then there's the commissioned officer rank. And you come in as an officer as an O1. Once you graduate medical school, you become an O3. You skip O2, go straight to O3, and you're a captain. It's funny because you know nothing about the military, yet you're a crazy high rank. But it reflects we're doctors, right? We're leaders automatically. So we get the rank that signifies us as a leader, and hopefully you get used to the military as you go on. So this is a fun part of the lecture. We're going to be talking about money now. So the way your money works is broken up into different pays, and we'll talk about each one. So the first one is your base pay. Every 2 years it goes up. This is how much you make per month, and this is taxed. So yes, you make $5,500 before you were making $3,000 a month. As soon as you go to residency, at bare minimum, you're making $5,500 a month. So your paycheck just went up $2K. Which is kind of nice. Obviously, it's taxed, so you don't get all that money, but you get the $5,500. And then every 2 years as a captain, it goes up. Usually, once you hit year 4, you qualify to not year 4, right? Year 4? Yeah, I think it's year 4, year 5, not year 6. No, yeah, sorry, year 6. Once you hit 6 years as a captain, you are qualified to promote to the next rank, which is major, which is what I am. So I did that on my 6th year. And if you owe 4 years after 3 years of residency, that's 7 years. So you usually separate as a major. Now, like I mentioned before, the base pay is just a part of your income. You also get something called a BAH and a BAS. The BAH is the basic allowance for housing, and the BAS is the basic allowance for sustenance. So for food. So they give you money on top of your base pay to help support your housing and your food. And both of these are tax free. So depending on where you live, this one is if you live in Texas, the housing is $2,200 a month plus the food of $316. So you get a total of $2,500 a month, meaning that you get paid around $10,000 a month in residency. Well, this base pay is inaccurate because it's 03 in 6 years. So if you're 03 for 2 years, which is most of you, it's 5,500 minus that by 2,000. So you get around $8,000 a month. So your paycheck went from $3,000 a month in medical school to almost triple, right? $8,000 a month. And then if you do your housing thing, this is how it works, right? And it's a nice little cheat code for you guys. You can look up your BAH for where you're gonna live, so you have an idea of how much money you'll get that's tax free. If you live underneath that money, so for example, if I go to Texas and my BAH is $2,200, if I get a house for $1,000 a month, for example, they still give you the full $2,200, and they never ask for it back. So you could use that money for whatever you want. It's meant for your housing. If you have a house for free, like if your parents have a house for free, then you're just getting free money tax free. you throw that to you pay off your other loans, or you invest that, or you just go crazy with it. He won't have time. It's residency, but it's you could do cheat codes. So when I was in residency, there was actually a group of docs that all moved there together. Moved, in my third year, the intern year, there was a group of docs that all shared the same house. So there's like four of them in one house, and it was a nice house. And maybe the rent was like the total rent for the house was like 6,000 a month, and they're all making like 2,500 a month. So like they're paying less if you catch what I'm saying, right? It makes sense. You could rent a house and then you're all living there, and then you're just paying the rent, which is maybe $1,000 together, and then you get your residents living with you, so you could bounce ideas, study with each other. I thought it was a great idea. Maybe there was some drama too. I don't know, but I thought it was a great idea. I live by myself, uh, and I had a great time. So and I lived below my BAH, so I was able to just make a little bit of extra money. I wanted to move to something even smaller, so I could make even more money, but I don't want to move. So I hope that makes sense. If you look up the average residency pay, which we could do, we'll do it right now. I'll do it right now for you. The average residency paid pay as a family medicine doc. If you have AI, it does it for you. It's around $65,000 to $68,000 a year, which is not bad. But we're gonna minus this by 2,000 times 12, which is like 24. So this is 90,000. So you get paid around $30,000 more as a first year, and then the BAH goes up by PG by 3. But we didn't even talk about all the fees. So let's go back to the PowerPoint, huh? So we have the base pay, we have the BAH, we have the BAS. The next is your medical specialty pays. So we have a couple of different ones. We're going to start with the VSP. So this is what we start in residency. If you're an intern, you get paid $1,200 a year, which is $100 extra a month. And that's just on top of what you already paid. That's on top of the BAS and the BAH. So this is like, any officer gets this. Now we're talking about medical stuff. As you get to the higher ranks or higher years, they increase that pay. Now, once you're out of residency, you can get a board certification pay, which is depending on what your what I mean. It doesn't depend. If you're board certified, so there's some doctors in the military that did not do uh, a residency completely. Like they didn't do a family medicine or a pediatric residency. We call them like some of them are flight docs, but some of them are just GMOs, general medical officers. They had 1 year of residency, and that was it. So because they did 1 year of residency, they don't get the board certification pay, but they still get paid some other things that we should talk about. But if you did complete residency, then you get $2,500 extra a year. So that's kind of nice. Depending on what kind of what kind of doctor you want to be, you can get even more money. So, for example, radiologists, they get $60,000 plus another $42,000 on top of this is on top of your normal pay. This I will say is the incentive pay for when you are working. So the MSP is a multi-year special pay. So if I want to extend for another 2 years, they'll give me $60,000 per year. But the incentives pay is what we do every year. So like every year for me, I have to I think it's every 2 years. I think I have to submit an incentive pay, and that'll be for family medicine, and then whatever the money is that year, that goes on top of what I get paid normally. So you get paid a good amount. Obviously, compared to like your civilian counterparts, depending on what kind of career you are, they might be making a lot more. But in residency, you're making more, and then you also don't have student loan debt, and you also have like insurance and stuff, and not to worry about all these other things that people worry about without the military. And of course, there's the critical skills wartime extension bonuses. So it changes, but you can see them, and the bonuses can reach up to $400,000, depending on what jock you are. Okay, so we talked about some of the benefits of the money, zero loans and good pay and bonuses and stuff. But let's talk about the other things that's awesome about the military medicine. Number one, I was stationed in Japan, as I mentioned earlier. I was there for 3 years, and it was awesome to be able to, work there. I love Japan. I'm a big anime guy, One Piece all the way, and it was awesome to like live there, and serve that population. Well, the military population there. You could also be um, deploying AI. You could also be deployed out to for humanitarian efforts. I have never been deployed, um, and when I was in Japan, it's hard to deploy me if they need me there. So, but if you are interested in deployment, you could like try to push for that. Total care, zero barriers. Yeah, we. Good night. Sorry, that's my wife. So with military medicine, we all have insurance. We have something called TRICARE, and they basically pay for everything. So you don't have to worry about navigating pre-authorization delays. Obviously, we still do pre-auth. It's just prior authorization, but they have ways to make it fast. We don't have to worry about out-of-pocket patient costs if you're active duty and you have TRICARE. You everything is free if you're active duty. If you're a dependent, and well, it should still be free. But it might if you're a retiree or like a veteran or a reservist, and you're not on orders, then you gotta whatever. But TRICARE Prime, if you're active duty, everything's free, and then all your patients usually have TRICARE Prime, so it's nice. And then of course you get to serve active duty families and veterans, which are like most of them know their stuff. They were told to go to the doctor every year for their military stuff, so they already use like they're generally a little bit easier to talk to. And I love serving the military population. I consider them my family, and I am blessed to say that I've been a United States Air Force officer for 7 years, and I enjoyed my career. I would do it longer, but I think right now with me and my wife, we want to take a break and then maybe go back into it once we have kids or something like that. So in conclusion, the Air Force. I'm an Air Force guy. I'm an Air Force doc. I can't speak on everything else, but I think it's an amazing opportunity to be a military physician, especially if you're doing like family medicine or pediatrics, which the pay in the military is similar to the pay outside. If you're like a surgeon, it can be a little bit difficult, but either way, and we need surgeons. So, uh, number one, zero depth. If you're a Dave Ramsey guy, I'm a little bit of a Dave Ramsey guy. No one. It doesn't. You don't have to be a Dave Ramsey guy. No one likes medical school debt. You don't want to have $300,000 on top of you. And even if you do have debt, if you work in the military and you're going for the PSLF, the Public Service Loan Forgiveness, that time in the military counts. So I've already done 7 years. I think you need to do 10 years. So I just need like 3 more years of working with the military. But I'm not going to do active duty anymore. I'm going to be, but I'm trying to do it as a civilian. Um, you get to come in as a captain. Like I don't know why they use that picture for captain because that's like a command sergeant or something, a master sergeant. But a captain is the double bar. You get to come in as a captain, which is just cool. I was captain of Lakatu, and my family thought I was so cool with my rank. I mean, I'm doctor or captain. Which one do you want to choose? But it forces you into leadership, and it's an opportunity to grow and a resume builder. And then of course you get the tax-free allowances and different special pays depending on what kind of job you're doing. So they give you, they pay you, they take care of you. In the military, you're one of the highest paid individuals in the military. So you might not be as high as your friends outside the military, but within the military, where you have free health insurance, they pay for your homes. You might even be living on base sometimes, and you get to travel, and you get the I don't want to show you, but I got like 3 credit cards, military active duty status, it waives credit card fees. There's a lot of benefits. Um, Long story short, and then it's only 3, 4 years you owe them. So once you do that, you're good. You can leave. and you're considered a veteran, so you can still like access certain things that other civilians can't. Long story short, if you're interested in it, please check it out. Contact the recruiter. You could comment below on my YouTube channel if you have any questions. I would love to answer it based on my experience, and I hope this video served to help clarify any doubts you may have or any issues you may have with with using the military scholarship. I have enjoyed it, and I love being in the military, and I do love serving my country in that way. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Goodbye.